Hi, folks. Steven here. So, yeah, this is going to be another one of our sort of live streams where we go over a couple things today. We're going to go over, first of all, the Pokemon Go Community Day that was yesterday. Calling a community day is, given the current circumstances, a little bit generous, but we'll definitely be talking about it. There's also some anime news that we'll be talking about. And then if you have any questions about the channel or stuff that's going on, certainly you can type those into the chat. So, without further ado, we are going to get started here. By the way, if you haven't, while I'm setting up our little presentation here. One second here. There we go. Okay, so let's see here. So don't forget that last weekend, of course, I think last Saturday or Sunday, I forget exactly which day, to be honest, Ann and I discussed the music of Pokemon Puzzle League for the N64. Had a lot of fun with that, to be quite honest. I did finish getting some audio back to her yesterday as well. So we're going to kind of go through all of that. So first off, all right. So those of you know that this weekend's or yesterday's community day was bumped back from last month. It was supposed to be on, but because of all the current circumstances, they had to sort of push it back, retool the game a fair bit, and it seems to be working out quite well for them, at least financially. But even though I spent this entire community day inside, I figured I would go ahead and type in the weather for yesterday and compare it to February. As you can imagine, with a 2-month gap, we've got a little bit more of a change from the last community day. So back in February, I remember when I was able to go out and about town, I went over to Camp Randall Stadium, that general vicinity of the UW campus, and we showed some stuff there. Let's see, the high was 40 degrees on a normal of 33. Low was 23. By the way, this is all Fahrenheit. Normal of 17. Average wind speed of 7.1 miles per hour. This month, technically actually below normal, but still significantly warmer. So yesterday here in Madison, according to the National Weather Service, we had a high of 56. Normal is 61, so we're a little bit below that. Low is 38 on a normal of 39. And then our average wind speed was 7.6 miles per hour. So definitely warmer. Wouldn't have been terrible being outside by any means. But so we're definitely warming up. Today was actually even a little bit warmer than that. We got into the 60s. So, excuse me. That worked out pretty well for weather today. All right. So in a nutshell, this is the Abra Community Day this weekend. And basically what happened, of course, it was supposed to be last month. And because of the situation, they had to push that back to here, and they did rework it. So they did a couple changes to this one. First of all, they made it twice as long. Normally, these community days are 3 hours in your local time zone. This time they were 6. Let's see. There are also some things they added for buddy stuff, and I should have taken a snapshot, realizing kind of some of the stuff I forgot. I did take advantage of a couple things here. First off, they have these rotating specials on Pokemon Go where you can spend like 1 Pokecoin or to get something. I got a bunch of Great Balls yesterday using that deal that rotates out every so often. And a new thing they tried this time was sort of adding a loose narrative. Since you couldn't go out and about for $1 or whatever it was in your locality, you got to use you got to go through kind of a mini narrative where you achieve a bunch of tasks. So that actually worked out, stuff like that. So that's all those things. Bonus this time around, 3x catch Stardust. Also, I think eggs hatched faster than normal with less walking. But you can kind of see there's also a community day bundle as there usually is. So some of the usual stuff, but definitely adapted. And you had like 2 hours instead of the usual one to fully evolve to get the special move, which was counter for your Alakazam. I actually did not have an Alakazam yet. One of the first Pokemon to be added to the game, of course, and I just never got enough Abras together to get that done. So I was actually pretty interested in doing stuff today. So that gives you sort of the lay of the land of one play at home edition. Yeah, so all right. So as usual, I like to show pictures of some of the Pokemon. The one on the left is the first Abra I saw. Now, one, I guess, convenient thing about doing this at home is that I was able to work on some audio. I always had to clean up some audio from our Mewtwo Strikes Back Evolution movie discussion and get that in, which I did yesterday. So still some things, obviously, with our discussion last week to get that. But I want to talk a little bit about the shiny for Abra. To be honest, the one on the left is obviously the regular one. It's yellow, and the one on the right is slightly less yellow. It's a little paler, which, it's a little disappointing. It's not the most interesting shiny, definitely speaking. I actually had pretty good shiny luck in terms of what I got for this one this time around. I got a ton of the shiny Abras. I'm not sure if they bump that up. I also think they might have increased the great and nice, radius just a hair, because I felt like there were some I got there that I wouldn't have gotten before. But we'll talk more about that a little bit later. But overall, despite being here at home, I did use incense, which definitely helped out and attracted a lot, maybe almost a little too much. I almost wished I could have made it a little less effective but last longer, because I was still trying to get that audio work done, and I did, but yeah, so a little bit odd there. But yeah, overall pretty happy with a number of Abra, definitely, that I got there. Okay. So after about an hour or so, I realized, oh yeah, there's that dollar thing where you can go through all those little steps there, and I decided I would do that. Now, as you notice in the picture on the left, for some bizarre reason, it's really like glitched out there. So I guess that's something for Niantic to work on there. It did purchase correctly, and by the way, you did have to spend real currency, 99 cents on the App Store there. And then over on the right-hand side, you can see you actually get like a little bit of the metal. Sometimes when you go to like events, like when I went to Pokemon Go Fest back in 2017, back in Chicago, they give you a little thing for that, and they gave you one for this. It's not super ornate. I think in the future they might be a little more interesting. It just says 04.20, so obviously April 2020. Has a Pokeball on it. Would be nice if it had like an Abra or something, I suppose. I'm not going to, totally dismiss it, but maybe for the next month, if they're in the same spot, which I think is pretty likely, they'll do something similar there. But kind of the way this thing works is that basically Professor Willow, I believe it is, the main professor guy for Pokemon Go, will come in when you activate this and sort of gives you a little narrative. They said, oh, there's a lot of Abra out there. At first we thought it was just them teleporting around and making their numbers look bigger than they are. But no, there's actually a lot of Abra out there. And then he gives you some tasks to complete. So let's see. It comes in 4 phases, although really there seems like there's only really 3 of them. It's a little bit odd. But if you've done some of the stuff they've done for like special Pokemon, like some of the Halloween events or legendary Pokemon, it's not completely dissimilar. It's a special research task. So first off, you got to power up your Pokemon 10 times was the first one. You got to catch a bunch of Abra, not too difficult, and make 5 nice throws. And so you get an encounter off of that, and it shows you the overall rewards. So I powered up a bunch of Pokemon out there. I have this Flygon left over from last year's Trapinch event. And so on. Actually, I think it's from 2018. I can see the date right in there. It was actually the day before Christmas. Okay. Silly me. I did learn some interesting thing there. You remember how in the original games you could use a rare candy in place of a revive to level up a Pokemon, but also give it a small amount of HP? Looks like I just realized you can do the same thing here, which saves me a lot of revives I would otherwise need for this game, which is kind of nice. So very much enjoying that. And by the way, if you have anything that you got yesterday or stuff like that, or have anything you want to share, go ahead and type that in the chat, or if you're watching this on replay, go ahead and do that in a comment. We really appreciate that. But first level of this, as you kind of expect, not super difficult. It did take some time to do, to make some nice throws. And by the way, whenever you have the nice throw task, if you get a great or excellent throw, it does still count for that. It just has to be that or better. So you have a lot of trap inch candy there. So first round, not too difficult. All right, so once you do that, you get your stuff there. You get a bunch of Stardust and Incense, a couple Pokemon that you get to try and catch. One of them is obviously an Abra. All right, so second phase. So we did a little more dialogue there. To be honest, it didn't super sink in my mind. I appreciated it being there. But as far as the actual task here, you got 15 Abra. Transfer 10 Pokemon. Remember, transfer is when you send them back to free up space in your boxes. And you get one candy of whatever the base of that evolution line is. Then you get to evolve 3 Abra. That costs, I believe, 25 Abra candy each. So that wasn't too hard either. And with the appraisal, one thing you get there is a Poffin. I'm actually, to be honest, not super familiar with what Poffins do in this game. To be honest, I'll have to check that out, because I think that's the first Poffin I've gotten. Of course, Poffins were a 4th gen thing in the main series games. Let's see. So you can see I picked a couple Abras, or Abra. It's an irregular plural, all Pokemon are, and the brand name itself. But to do that, so that wasn't too difficult. And then we get to level 3, which was honestly pretty intimidating. Oh, that second one, evolve a Kadabra into an Alakazam, takes a lot of candy, not difficult. And then you get 5 golden raspberries, which is not too bad. Transfer some more Pokemon for some more experience points. And then you have to make 3 great curveball throws, which was really pretty tough for me. It got a little bit easier. I can throw a curveball. Making it connect is the hard part, especially with a nice or a great. And so the thing there is that I just really had to work pretty hard to make that work. And once I realized I could move the Pokeball to the left-hand side and then sort of flick it to curve it, it made it easier to hit the Pokemon when it was in the center of the screen. But definitely do not have a hold of the mechanic. You do get an EXP bonus if you catch a Pokemon with a curveball, and I think you might also get a catch rate bonus, but not something I'm going to do too much. But I had to spend a couple hundred Pokecoins to get some more Pokeballs. But let's see here. Oh, and one nice thing you get there is you get a Rocket Radar, which I still need to use the one I got from last Community Day back in February. Let's see. So I did evolve an Alakazam. You can see the thing there. It was also a new Pokemon for me, so I got a nice experience bonus. But I eventually made it. Now, it has this 4th phase, which I didn't know that I really had to do anything for. You notice these are different rewards than we saw on the previous screen. So that's kind of odd. So I get a bunch of Stardust. I get some more EXP, some Silver Pineapple Berries, and also see Stardust more, and Rare Candy, and Pokemon appears. And that Pokemon, as you might expect, yeah, it's an Alakazam, of course. So I get a number of Alakazam over the course of this one. That was actually quite a bit of fun. And this one that I got was actually very good. You can see the appraisal there. It's got full HP stats and almost full attack and defense. So I think I'm going to get some good usage out of that as time goes on. And as you can kind of see down there on the right-hand side, I have a shiny one that I fully evolved. Had plenty of candy this time around. Does have counter as its base move. I'm not really sure exactly how that works in the Pokemon Go setting. I mean, I know how it works in the normal games, but there you go there. And going back to the shiny thing, Alakazam's shiny, I think, is a little bit nicer, a little more interesting. And it's sort of the opposite of the Abra. The Abra is more pale. The Alakazam has brighter colors, which is kind of an interesting trade-off there, I suppose. So, yeah. But yeah, you can see I have a fair amount of Abra candy left over even after all of that. So I think that worked out pretty well. Okay, so overall stuff, I want to recap some of the Pokemon Go Day stuff, but let's talk about this. So first off, Incense works really well. I wasn't using it for a little bit and just kind of waiting for Abra to come into the radar, and then I started using it, and then I got lots of stuff, and it pulls them in right to you. I almost would kind of like, I think the Incense, they might have made it last longer than usual, so it lasted during this event at least 3 hours. And to be honest, that might be more than I needed. or it was more effective. And if I could trade off effectiveness for duration, that might have worked out well, because I had to, obviously put things down sometimes to get back to working on the audio. So yeah, that's something they've obviously worked on since the conditions hit, just so that folks can do it more locally. It seems to be working out well for them. All right, next thing, I mentioned them earlier, curveballs. I'm not good at them. I did eventually figure some stuff out, and I'll try to remember that next time I have to do a curveball, but excuse me. It was pretty difficult for me to get those to match in there. I got better as time went on, but still, I can't tell how much it's going to curve back based on where I release it. There's a definite technique to it, but I am having trouble figuring that one out. I can do a curveball very easily. Making it work and actually hit the Pokemon is the hard part. Investigating illusions. I like the narrative there. They've done that for other stuff, like when you do the spooktacular Halloween thing or the mythical Pokemon or stuff they do like that. I'm not going to say it's the most amazing thing, but honest work did go into it, and thank you, Niantic, for putting in a little extra effort in there. All right, and then something I found out about but didn't have access to, at least at the time, was the remote raid pass, which I guess you have to. I think it rotates in and out of the shop somehow. But there were a couple raids that would have been close enough on my radar to participate in. But so that's kind of interesting there. I look to see more of that in the future, since I do live within there are a few gyms not too far from where I am. But that's obviously another compensation they've done for the current limitations on mobility in the world. But if you have any comments on any of that, I did like this. I did feel I got my time and my money's worth out of it. So look forward to more of these in the future, although I do hope that sometime later this year or whatever, we can get back to a more normal, because I want to show you more of Madison and stuff like that. And just, it's not quite the same. They made a good effort here. They did about as well as they probably could, and maybe they'll do a few things next month. But overall, enjoyed it. All right, so yes, so there's some anime news in the world of Pokemon. There's actually a couple anime stories which we'll kind of bring together here that I wanted to talk about. First off, we did finally get some confirmation on the new animated series of Pokemon. It's called Pokemon Journeys, the series. Not sure why I always need to put in the series there, but we'll see what they do. Obviously, you can see this is I believe called the key art that I get from the PR side of Pokemon. And you can see we have Ash, we have, I believe that's Hop, or no, it's Go, I'm sorry. My mistake. I think Hop, they look not completely similar, but they are different characters, I think. And then you see Scorbunny at the bottom. Kind of a nice little, coming out of the forest into the whatever it is down there. It looks like some sort of field or whatever. So, and they put out a trailer and stuff, and we'll talk about all of that in a moment. But first of all, let's get the sort of the facts down. All right. So as far as the U.S. distribution, what's going to be happening is the first 12 episodes will be released June 12th on Netflix. And they're planning on episodes, adding them quarterly. But as you may know, in Japan, they've kind of put the show on hiatus, again, due to the current circumstances. There's really no escaping them with any topic we're going to discuss today. So we'll see if they get that in, that'd be September, I guess, would be when the new episodes would drop, the next dozen or so of episodes. We'll see how that goes. But they say it's going to cover multiple regions. And like I said, there is a trailer for it. The trailer has some stuff I already knew about, like there's a Pichu, which is supposed to be Pikachu before it became Pikachu. So they're supposed to be doing a story about that, which I've known about for a little bit. And they had a lot of Lugia in there that they're teasing, which is kind of interesting. Now, I do wonder musically what they're going to do with that, because, I'm not super thrilled that during The Power of Us, one of my few knocks against that movie of any material is that they didn't use the English Lugia's theme in there. But otherwise, the trailer just shows, it gives you the basic lowdown about this new professor that Ash is going to start helping out, and things like that, along with this new guy, and so they go in region to region. They're going to spend, I'm sure, a fair bit of time in Galar. I have to imagine that's going to be the case there. Otherwise, why bother, of course? But we're going to see a lot of stuff out there. And like I said, they just show otherwise a bunch of scenes. There's some art, some various screen captures that show a Snorlax like G maxing or whatever like that, which is kind of crazy in the trailer there. And then there's some music there we'll talk about in a little bit. But overall, I'm looking forward to this. It is kind of sad it's a month and a half away, but um, just talk about the Netflix part of it. It's not totally surprising, given that Netflix, of course, got the rights to Mewtwo Strikes Back Evolution. I'm going to guess that this was negotiated as part of the same or very close in time to the same deal. So looking forward to that. Let us know if you have any comments on it coming to Netflix. I think it's some other territories besides just Japan, where I think it is still on television, broadcast television. I think in some other territories the details are different, but here in America we're definitely getting it on Netflix. So that is the information there. But let's talk about that. We do know about the theme song. There's a little bit of it in the trailer. I don't know that we got a super great listen to it, but let's take a look. Yeah, it's called Journey Starts Today. And the name of this band is Walk Off the Earth. So I did some digging about this. I am trying to get in touch. I accidentally got in touch with their old label, who pointed out that they're not working with them anymore, and they don't really know exactly who it is because they switched labels like last year. But they are a Canadian indie pop band. No word on if I haven't heard from Anne to see if she has any opinion on that. Of course, she was born in the U.S., but she had spent a lot of time in Canada and brings that up during our discussions. Looks like they were founded in 2006. And if you're wondering when their latest studio album was released, that was last October. It's called Here We Go. And you can, like I said, you can hear a little bit of the song in the trailer. I don't know how long, if there's going to be a full version or anything like that. We don't get to hear a ton of it, to be honest. We'll have to wait till we get closer to the show debuting, I guess, before we do that. And just to clear up some confusion, there is, first of all, on the Japanese side, there is a new dub composer. Shinji Miyazaki is sort of semi-retired, at least from Pokemon. And there's this new guy who also worked on, let's see, My Hero Academia, as have some of the English dub voice actors, or at least one of them, I think. Maybe I'm wrong about that. But the score is still going to be augmented/replaced by Ed Goldfarb. He's still going to be working on that one. So we'll see how all that works out together. And maybe that gives me some hope that we get to hear Lugia's English theme in here. I don't know if there are any particular rights of using that outside of the second movie that make that difficult. I would be pretty disappointed, as I kind of talked about in our movie discussion, how I don't want them to do a CGI remake of Pokemon 2000 if they're not going to use the same musical approach as that one. Apologies to Lugia's Japanese theme, but I do think it's not as interesting as the thing there. Okay, I think this is the last slide. Yes, it is. All right. So we'll just do a little more of a recap. There we go. Yeah, my hair is, just to give you somewhat of a personal update on me, my hair is getting longer. I am trimming it around the ears and a few other places if it becomes a problem. Much as I love 80s music, I'm not sure if I want mullets to come back. But we'll see where that goes. But I am doing personally just okay. My day job is still working out just fine. We're considered essential. I won't give you too many more clues than that. But that is still going on as intended. So that's going on fine. And I intend to keep producing stuff on here on a relatively regular schedule. We should be doing another episode of the podcast next month. I need to talk with Anne. She got me the Mewtwo Strikes Back Evolution music discussion audio within the last week or so. So I guess she's posting that to her Patreon first, because still the trading card game discussion, I'm not sure which of those will actually be the next episode, since I was kind of thinking with the amount of content we had for the Mewtwo Strikes Back Evolution, I'd be getting about 3 episodes out of that. So we're going to have to figure out how all that fits together, since we spent over 2.5 hours between the music and the movie itself. So kind of crazy there. Pokecasters Network, I really don't have too much else to say at the moment. I know they are working on getting together some events. Obviously, logistically, that can be a little difficult given what we're doing these days, but keep an eye out on there. Of course, Pokepress Digest Podcast is a member of that group. We'll definitely be having, or they'll definitely be having some raid nights coming up soon. Unfortunately, I just don't have any dates for the upcoming month. I'm sure they're settling their May schedule right about now. And then let's see. As far as our next discussion with Anne, which should be Hey You Pikachu sometime next month, most likely. We have not set a date yet. So we'll figure all that stuff out. But other than that, all right, I think that's about it. If you have any comments on Pokemon Go Community Day about what you got, or about the anime changes, or just have any questions, feel free to ask those. I always love getting feedback from viewers. All right, folks, thanks.